Hey everybody, Asher here, and welcome back to a new season of Football Manager 2022, specifically in the distant future, the year 2023, where Charlotte FC is following up a very successful inaugural season that ended with some playoff disappointment out for blood. Or specifically, you see these competitions up here? My goal is to win them all, every single one. And how do we do it? Well, quite simply, we kind of sorta maybe broke the MLS transfer system. Let's take a look. Welcome back to another year of Charlotte football clubbing, where this time it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a big year, or it's going to completely blow up in my face. We are in total win now mode. And if you see some little previews here on the left of what we're going to talk about, we have had a massive talent upgrade in the transfer window. And you can see that although we disappointed with some trades that we made, we've also done some serious upgrading to our talent by bringing in people like Nathan, who's really good, although my scouts had him at 4.5 stars, but I will forgive it for reasons we'll talk about later. Raul, who my scouts got correct here. But it was a long, strange trip, and unfortunately, with the way the football manager goes, and we're going to talk about this a lot because some of the MLS stuff does not work. Our transfer history does not reflect the trades that we made to go out. And we had to ship out a lot of players to make this work. In fact, if we look at our finances here, things are looking really well, but the transfer budget and payroll budget is always a little weird because it doesn't always take into account general allocation money or targeted allocation money, which are MLS specific rules. I'm going to get into those rants in a little bit. But I think probably since we went ahead and talked about the transfer history, worth talking about some of the players that we sold last year, because remember, there's transfer business that starts in November, December. Specifically, Ake Loba, I did, instead of letting him walk to another MLS team, I thought, you know what, if I can get $3.2 million for him from somewhere else, he did. So he's going back to the Mexican First Division. Congratulations, Loba. I hope you do well there. He was not bad for me at all, but he had a tendency to disappear, and he couldn't play as a right winger, and I really value that versatility from some teammates. So that's okay. And he was pretty happy to walk off, although one of the interesting things I ran into with my trades is that, and let me just go ahead and pull some of these up now. I'm going to be looking at screenshots myself, but hopefully this will show up on the screen here. Of course it will, because I'm the one that's editing. So we had a lot of trade business here for players that I moved in and out. Eric Holt goes to Orlando City. He was very mad that I gave him a value of $500,000. And someone immediately took the bait. He's like, that's rated too high. No, it's not. Marky Delgado, I rated him at $3.4 million. I got a trade for him. You're going to see a lot of draft picks coming in. Those draft picks are going to be relevant, unfortunately, for something I didn't take a screenshot of, but we'll do that in a second. Delgado got mad, but he immediately got traded to Portland. Then you can also see Riley McGree, kind of the same thing. People didn't go for him right away, but as we saw before, we're in win now mode, and he wasn't doing good enough now. So I traded him to San Jose for about $1 million worth of value. Managed to get a draft pick for this year. Anyway, Julian James, we actually managed to ditch him as well. Like I said, I needed to find one of our big goals, one of our big holes, was finding a replacement for Christian Fuchs. We thought James might be one of them. He was not, and we sold him for a whole crap ton of stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting. Teams were very happy to give us international player slots. That was last year, and now this year we're trying to take a look at taking our team to an even higher level. So here are the 5 new major transfer signings that I was able to make sort of through the window. But this is not the only business I did. We have Para, Diego Gonzalez, Raul, Isaac, and Ronnie. Yeah, you can see that we're using a lot of international player slots again, so the U.S. Cup is going to be fun. But I have a plan for that. I do want to take a look at each of these players individually. So let me go ahead and do just that. Para was a hilarious signing. If you saw the little note there, his release clause was $89,000. Once again, $89,000, not $890,000. It's like someone forgot a zero because he's really good. He's not Christian Fuchs good, but he's younger, and all I need is somebody that can potentially fill the role. So he's going to be slotted in as a starter kind of right away. We'll see how it goes. He does have some competition in the space with a very important move that I made that we'll talk about in a little bit. But Para, I like that he can play up and down the left-hand side. More importantly, I really like the fact that he has a very strong left foot. I think that was one of the downfalls for Gilliam James was that he only had a reasonable left foot. This is a true left side player. Diego Gonzalez might be a surprising signing considering who I have in center backs in general. But as you saw by the end of the year, Derek and Kessler were getting kind of tired, so I knew I needed something else. And then plus, as an added bonus, not only is he a very good center back, he's also a talented left back. So we have, he's not necessarily going to go direct competition with Para, but he is going to be slated into the starting role. He does have some potential to improve. He's overall just got all the moves, all of everything else. Maybe the only thing Kessler has on him is that Kessler's a little bit taller, and you can't teach height. But considering he is a more of a natural ball-playing defender, I'm not going to use him as a wide center back, but he's a more natural ball-playing defender than Kessler. Hopefully that will give some improvement to the team. Then we have Raul, who I would characterize as one of my two really big signings for the summer here. We just take a look here. He came in for $500,000. Once again, this is MLS, so that is in of itself a big signing, and he does make $500,000 a year. He did agree to a non-designated player contract. We kind of had to BS some stuff to make it work, but in my tactic, like I said before, I wanted to put a ball-winning midfielder in there, and he is going to be playing alongside Sergio Ruiz, although I will be getting into that in just a moment. But yeah, he's fitting right in, going to be going right into the start. I said before, and I've said multiple times, that I've been looking to change the tactic, and I've been looking to find players that can kind of go alongside Ruiz. I'm shocked. I've never had an MLS season kind of like this one before where I never developed a midfield partnership. There's always kind of players being unsettled between injuries or people just not being good enough. That's why I moved Delgado. That's why I moved some other players just to try to make that work. And then we have Isaac, or Isaac, I need to look up how to pronounce that, who is a backup left winger, that's true, who's a backup advanced midfield center, that'll be relevant in just a second, and also a backup striker. If you can get a player like this on a free transfer, that's excellent. I mean, literally, he's not getting paid a ton, he has a lot of talent, he agreed to be a squad player, and I think he's just somebody that's going to be flexible, and unlike maybe some of my other players on the expansion team where I was trying to force them into roles and force him onto the field, he'll be able to work his way in and hopefully work out. Plus, we have a lot of Brazilian players on the team now, so he should be able to make that work. Our other big free transfer, and I did talk about this one before, was Ronnie, another person who I was really looking to be like, hey, how can we shore up our midfield? Can we improve our talent in here? He's another ball-winning, box-to-box midfielder, and he's just good, solid all around. It's the kind of player that if I want to have some depth, especially with the amount of schedule congestion and competitions I'm going to be facing here, it's something that's going to be very important going forward, that when I go into the bench, the quality does not drop off very much. So here's the tactic for the new year. It's not final, but this is the shape that I want to be going for. Ruiz is going to be playing as a deep-lying playmaker. I don't have a promise to play him as an advanced forward anymore. I forgot, actually, that you can check promises by there's a whole promise button over here. I have 4 available promises. Fortunately, I was able to satisfy a promise I forgot to make to Kyle Duncan when I extended his contract, because people were starting to look at his release clause. I think I flagged that before. It's 3.4 now instead of 1.2 or 1.6. But this is the shape. This is the tactic. I know. It's why it's called Super Original 5 Up. I do like playing with shadow strikers here, but Nathan's here. Nathan is a little saga that I'm going to talk about separately. But I think the most important thing is let's look to the right for a second. One of the things that I really wanted to do was get more talent on from the field here. And my defensive midfielders, I was never able to find like one that could just really anchor the team. There were just ones that were good enough. Jesus Merriman didn't want to stay, so he got transferred or traded away as well. But this is a bunch of players that have this star rating up front compared to Matías Arezzo, who's easily the best or one of the best players in the MLS. In fact, if we look at the season preview right here where we're picked to finish 5th, Arezzo is the number 1 striker. So to have the rest of my squad here, the rest of my front line, the rest of my starters be 4.5 stars or 4 stars in some cases, depending on where I move him, like Ludd. Jordan Morris, I'm a little surprised he's only 3.5, but still, that's excellent. And then our defense, we do have Para, Derek, Diego Gonzalez, and Duncan up here. So of our starters at the end of the year, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 returning, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 new players. So we wanted to try to keep things consistent. But one of the things that really bugged me last year, maybe it's a little bit different in Football Manager 22 than other ones, the team cohesion never went up above neutral last year. This year, I'm hoping it really will because we have some players that are established in the squad. You can see that Ludd has already swooped in and filled the gap that Fuchs had before, and that's amazing that we have a model citizen as a team leader. That's just, I mean, it's just great, and he supports us, and Jordan Morris supports us as well. So, look at my good friends. It didn't make me feel bad at all. The board and fans were actually kind of pissed at how he finished the end of the season injured here. But if you look at it, he wanted a new contract as well. He no longer has a release clause. He's now making $2.392 million per year, which means we can all laugh in David Tepper's face because our club finances, we are committing to a lot of spending here. Last season, we actually weren't really high up in the team spending. This year, we're starting to have to pay for our squad. But let me go ahead and show you a screenshot of a conversation from David Tepper, because this is going to start getting into the Nathan transfer saga and where I talk about, and not where I talk about, talking myself in the third person, but where we kind of broke Football Manager. You can see we have Nathan on loan this year. This is Nathan. You can't say anything bad about that smile. It's like a Cam Newton kind of smile, just glows up the room. He is a really good player. He was one that is like, okay, if I'm changing shape, if I want to get like an advanced midfield or something, I could put Lude up there, but I'd rather have somebody fresh, and this is kind of who I wanted. So I went and did what any reasonable, responsible person would do. I'm just clicking here to find the picture again. I asked the board, because sometimes when you go to a transfer situation in MLS, you can have the board negotiate on your behalf if it's an important enough player. And David Tepper said, and I quote, "Despite the fact that we consider Nathan to be worthy of a designated player contract, the league has informed us they won't give us any contribution to the player signing as they are not interested in bringing him into the league. We therefore regret to inform you that your request is rejected. But, to add shit to the shit bagel," Tepper concluded, "that concludes this meeting. In the future, please do not waste our time with things like this." What a bunch of bullshit. File that away for later. So, with both my chairman, president, whatever, and MLS saying, screw this guy, I went for it myself. And so I looked at my squad and I said to my squad, let's look at our contract salary here. We have 3 designated players. Arezzo, who's a young designated player. Robin Ludd, who's a designated player, and Sergio Ruiz, who you see is not a designated player now, but is now just an off-salary player, just like Jordan Morris was last year. Sergio Ruiz still has a promise. That's to get return playing time from injury. But I was like, you know what? Of all the players, he's the most expendable. He has injury history. He's good, but he's not like over the moon, like really super talent. He does have very good potential if we look here again, but he does have some injury problems. And he's not like Ludd, who is just like fantastically amazing, can go into a bunch of positions. So this is the problem with the reason I was like, that's fine. I'll try to trade him everywhere. And he accepted the transfer listing, which is fortunate because he's not a bad guy. But then we look at Ruiz, and there's no like history or anything of like what we attempt to do to sell and transfer him. But there were a lot of MLS teams that wanted to take him, and the trades kept getting rejected because MLS teams are only required to have 3 designated players. Teams would accept trades, and then the trade would get canceled because we have too many designated players. I would try to sign Nathan, who would only agree to a designated player contract, and you can see he's now on a designated player contract, or he will be. I don't know if it shows it here yet because he's on loan right now. We'll get to that in a second. He wanted to be on a designated player contract. But we couldn't sign him or agree to the transfer because that would put us over the limit for designated players. Foreign clubs did not want to buy Ruiz because they couldn't afford him. So I was like, oh God, I'm stuck with a designated player. I looked up MLS history later on, and I can understand now kind of reasonably why designated players are difficult to trade. But in the game, like, everybody under the sun was willing to accept the trade. So that's one of the ways that MLS stuff is broken. The other way, though, is that I couldn't just get him to ditch the designated player contract. I didn't have any options to do anything. Maybe if I had tried to offer him a new contract, but there's no recourse. Just transfers get canceled. Until I thought, you know what, let's be dumb. And I don't know if I can see the loan offer anymore here, but let's be dumb and try to get Nathan on loan. There's a problem with that. The problem with trying to get Nathan on loan, as we see, we do have him here. We have loan offers. Nathan, they were required, or ATM, is that, yeah, ATM, not automatic teller machine, but ATM required a 1.4 million clause on there that after this transfer, after this loan, we have to buy him. So that's exciting in of itself. Like, he's a really good player, and getting this kind of player for 1.4 million is super fantastic, awesome. So then from the loan, we get this screen, which to this, all I ask is, why the hell did I not get this option when I was trying to sign Nathan before? I only got this from a loan when he would be signing on to the team next season. But if I do an immediate transfer, I didn't get this option, which is very simple. And I remember this coming up in previous football managers as well, which is that I don't have any, I won't have enough vacant slots. I need to buy one, that's fine, but Sergio Ruiz would need to drop off his contract and become classified as a senior player on regular salary. So, and then they would buy an extra designated player slot from their targeted allocation money to reduce the cap impact and all that. Like, it's just, this is in the game, but for some reason, I couldn't just transfer Nathan over to activate it. I had to loan him with a sign-on clause afterwards. It's fucking backwards. But regardless, I have a team that if I just go... Oh, by the way, Julian James wanted to be vice captain as well, and he's not. So Diego Gonzalez is a vice captain. It's fun. Yeah. How do we do this? Let's look at the comparison first. So our team overall, we're young. We're big. We have a lot of talent. Let me get my ugly face out of here again. We have a lot of talent. We have all this stuff. Our defense is a lot better. I actually improved my defensive coaching as well. Then our attack, physical, mental. So we're kind of exactly where we were before, except remember at the beginning of last season where technical stuff was absolutely a problem? This time we are doing much better on technique, so that's great. In fact, I do want to go over to my coaching staff real quick just to look at my coach assignments here. I had to custom set these, but everything is at 4 or 3.5 or 4 stars. The coach workload is very heavy, so I'm going to have to deal with that a little bit, which means I'm probably going to have to spread the wealth in terms of training. But this is good. This means that at least my players are going to be able to develop, because once again, for the 4th time in a row, you can see all these requests that I made. We're improving the training facilities yet again. It just keeps happening right now. Even though in real life there's like super advanced facilities in Rock Hill, we're still only at good training facilities. Of course, looking at the squad list one more time, there's another player that does stand out in terms of a little bit of a transfer story. There's a lot of stories that happened over here. It's George Bello, a very famous, like, very good player here. But one of the problems I ran into with my scouting team, if I look at my scouting assignments, and I try to manually assign my assignments, but I had somebody that was like supposed to be scouting MLS players, and nobody ever did. So I got to the offseason and was like, shit, my team was scouting next opponents, but not generating scouting reports for people. So that sucks. But I had to go through manually and be like, who's a good left back that can replace Fuchs in the future. And this guy fits the bill. Super great potential ability. Like I've said before in MLS, we do play these guys to eventually lose them, but that's just part of the roster churn, roster turnover, and we'll have him while he's there. If we compare him with Para, though, Para is actually just a little bit better to a point. I mean, Bello has some really good strengths. I'm going to put Para out there first, but if Bello, who actually is a USA player, ends up being better, then Para may be seeing like greener pastures or get transferred somewhere else, and I free up an international slot, and it's fine. But the problem with getting Bello here is that he came in a trade from Atlanta United. And if you remember all those trades I made before, I accumulated a lot of draft capital. And unfortunately, we can't actually click to see the trade here, but if we look at our home screen, you can see that, and we get Club Vision, may be a better place to look at it. They're concerned about the Atlanta United trade. I don't know why they would be concerned with the Atlanta United trade. It doesn't show up on here because, once again, screw MLS and Football Manager. But look at our draft allocations. We have a second-round pick. Wait, what happened to all those first-round picks that I had? I had to send a shit metric ton of first-round picks that I got. Look at all the first-round picks they have, as well as $3 million in general allocation money to get them. But you know what's really great about that? We're actually going to do the super draft here in just a little bit. Is that Bello, who's 3 stars on this talented squad, is better than any player that I would get with those. I think it ended up being 5 or 6 first-round picks that I sent. So that is totally fine. He's volatile but media-friendly. He's resolute. And more importantly, he is young and going to improve a lot. And he's right now on a pretty low salary. He was unhappy in Atlanta. He's probably a little bit happier here. We'll see. So once again, if we look at the dynamics, I'm hoping the team cohesion gets better here. Things are looking up. So once again, this is the tactic. This is the depth chart. I think one of the most important things about this is that Diogo's still here. I may try to draft another goalie in the super draft just to have another warm body there. Because we actually have a, if we look at the Dev Center, we should have, we actually got awarded Charlotte FC2. And Charlotte FC2 doesn't have a coach yet. Kind of need to work on that. Needs to get some other stuff here. And this is where we can start dumping some other players. The one unfortunate thing is that it also means that we're going to have to manually schedule some friendlies because I think that still hasn't been fixed. So we did get a 2-team here, which means that we can let some of our younger guys develop playing in competitions, which is awesome. But speaking of younger players, if we look at the calendar here, first off, we do have our first matchup here in the first round of the North American Champions League. After a few friendlies that were automatically scheduled for us, it's fine, including in training camp. So I'm just going to figure out the tactic, and then we'll take it in the Champions League, and hopefully we should be doing really well against Herediano. I think that's how it's pronounced. We should be winning that game, but we got 2 legs to do it. Like I said, my goal is to crush the competition, but before we get there, if we look at the calendar, it's about to be super draft time. So let's go ahead and get to the draft and show you just kind of where the talent gap is and why I said, even in some of my first episodes, we don't get draft picks to draft. We use draft picks to bludgeon the AI to give us the players we want. Okay, I love Football Manager. As soon as I hit continue, potential issue with Matías Arezzo. He doesn't see himself. I think he feels like he should be getting more playing time to help him get into his national setup. Okay, ever since you've been on the team, you've been the starter the whole time. You're a star player that's getting star player playing time. Do I clone you and play you twice? A lot of these interactions are they're not half-baked and they're not buggy. They just don't always work. So I'm going to discuss it with him. Is there anything you want to talk about? Oh, good. Oh, so he's thrilled. Fortunately, he's nice enough that he just wants to talk. You'll hear from me if things continue this way. So our star player wants to be a star-er player, but he does really like me. So That's a plus. And that may be a key because if we look here at Arezzo's contract value here, 6.8 to 8.2, his release clause is 8.5. We may need to renegotiate and make this higher. But I did build the squad in a way. I'm not expecting to be able to hold on to him the whole season. I'm expecting someone to try and take him. And then I will have to offer him a new contract to see if I can keep him. But if he goes, he goes. That's the way of MLS. You wish your designated players that get their big break very well. As far as I recall from reading about it, although it was in foreign language sources, I think Arezzo has signed into La Liga. So, I mean, in real life, he's gotten his big break. But for now, he's with us. And then, oh, this is funny. Bruno Lamas was the other target that I have. You see, he's 5-star. He wouldn't even negotiate with us because we don't have enough money to pay what he wants. I just want to look at the report here real quick. Yeah, his estimated salary demands were not that. His estimated salary demands were like $2 million a year. So it's nice that ATM, we got rid of Nathan, who we are about to introduce here to the media. We got rid of Nathan so they could go after our other target. So at least that means we were looking at the right players. But I'm going to go ahead and fast forward in time to the Super Draft unless some other interesting stuff comes up. Oh, and by the way, here we go again. If we look at Kyle Duncan over here and we go to transfer status, what's supposed to be happening is anytime I get this stuff, I'm supposed to respond. Oh, no. Anything, it's supposed to be I'll respond myself. We're supposed to reject all transfer offers. So maybe that'll happen in the future. But this time, Seattle tried to trade with us, but we don't have one of the assets they wanted. They're like, oh, by the way, oh, you don't have your draft pick? No, I don't have my draft picks because I wanted to get one of the best left backs from America. So, hooray! Even the computer can't. We're like I said, we're breaking the MLS transfer system in Football Manager. Not even the computer can keep up. All right, so it is now time for the draft, and we're going to do this live. 3 rounds. Our first pick is the 52nd overall selection. If you pass, you don't get anything else. So we can view the draft. Look at all of these great players. If we just sort by recommendations, this is how the MLS draft works. These are all players that come out of the youth system. Diego Garcia is an A rating, and if we just take a look at his profile real quick, he has 4 and then 1/2 extra star potential. So potentially MLS standard, potentially really good. This is literally the best player to go through the MLS draft. This is why I'm saying we don't build through the draft. Because if we take a look at the selection transfer stuff, it's grisly. He's only 2.5 stars, granted for us. And I could potentially make an offer to New York for the #1 overall draft pick. Like, we could go ahead and we have a shit ton of general allocation money. So I could, like, throw $2 million in there. And then we don't give up international slots. But we can do draft allocations. Like, we can throw a bunch of 3rd-round picks, but we can, like, throw a few 1st-round picks in the future. Now, fortunately, I keep hitting international slots. Fortunately, the game does recognize that draft picks from the future should be valued less than draft picks from here. But let's say I offer 2 seconds and this year's 1st. Oh, shit, they accepted it. Okay, well, you know what? I will take a backup American person, please. This is like freaking Madden stuff, where once again, we're breaking the MLS transfer system. We're trading some picks from 2025, where I have no intention. If I can accomplish everything with Charlotte FC, if I continue to save off camera, like into that far in the future, I don't have any intention of using those picks. So that's fine, New York. You take it. I was not expecting them to take it. I guess they really had bad ideas. So it's my time. This is the joke last year where we ask our assistant, recommend a goalie. The assistant, wants us to get Rune Hellgreen. I mean, I love the name. I literally have Violante from last year, Jordan Morris in that position. Oh my God, my assistant manager, I just want to club him over the head. This is a 1-player draft, and it's Diego Garcia, who is going to give us some potential depth, which is excellent. I think we may have paid a little much, but I don't know why I'm rubbing my eye. I really can't believe it, but I do think that if we do end up having to sell our Mississippi, whatever team he was on before, the Mississippi Brilla's greatest son in the future, that will make that 2 million back and change. So we're drafting him. Hooray. He will be our number 4 center back. So Charlotte swooping in with a massive deal. That's the story here, and everyone else is like, what the hell were you thinking? Skip to your next pick. All right, it's now, are we still in round 2? Yeah, round 2. Pick 55. Now if we take a look here, we can see, I'm just going to sort by potential. General info. So he is taken. He's only 19 years old. And then we have all these other players here. Who got Rune? Oh, wait. Rune isn't even one of... Oh, we have Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno, guys. Not to be confused with Silencio Bruno. I'm going to get copyright struck for any of that. Actually, Gilbrian Kornholtz. That's a... Kromholtz. That's a pretty flexible player, and he's American as well. I like drafting... well, okay, all these players should at least have American as a secondary nationality. So that's part of the U.S. system here. Jose Luis Medina could also be good. Like I said, I just want some depth here. Ricky Davis, I always think of the Charlotte basketball player who ended up having a pretty long stint in the NBA. Oh, that's a 90s draft pick, though. So a lot of y'all don't understand. Ask a Sensei, what shitty pick are you going to ask me to make this time? Oh, we're back to cornholes. He has a D scout rating. But if we go by potential, you know what this means. This means that I'm picking shitty players too, right? So what did I say in a Star Sector video recently? Watch on camera and you too can see the secret to doing well is just editing. So let's draft. I don't even know how many more draft picks we have. It looks like we have another one in this round. So, like I should know who has what thing here, but we're going to skip to our next pick. If we pass, we lose our stuff here. It's round 3 now. I want to see what our assistant says, because I think I'm just going to pick the best remaining goalkeeper just to have a third body here. We pick winger Jose Crispy or Jose Crespo. No. Just no. Our assistant manager doesn't even know what plan we have here. Let's sort by goalkeepers. That's not how you sort by goalkeepers, but we're going to do it anyway. We have a C- goalkeeper that's left. That's possible. Let's see what the scout transfer says. I mean, he's 1.5 stars right now. He does not have the potential of Diogo. That's true, but he has passable stats, high eccentricity, which is terrible. High punching tendency, which is terrible, but it gives us a backup goalkeeper in cup matches, because the U.S. Cup is going to be a problem with not having or fielding too many foreign players with the amount of international slots that I'm using. So we will want a backup goalkeeper, because unlike other people who say just bring one goalkeeper in for all your things, I have a bad habit of getting my goalkeepers injured. I think that even happened to Blackman last year in an episode. So here we go. Brad Gentry. That's fine. Not bad for a passable 3rd round pick. Skip to your next pick. Do we have another? We have another. Let's see here. Ask our assistant. What shitty pick can we have this time? Mario Nunez. Who are you? Another backup goalkeeper. I hate saying it. That might actually be a better goalkeeper. Where was this last round? There's probably a reason he's 1 star. And I'm not seeing it right now. Probably because he has like 1 first touch and 4 passing. Your goalkeepers do need some of those other stats. My plan here is almost always, let's just pick the highest potential whatever. This is the end of the draft here. There's no like special, okay, we're just going to go all out and have like players that have crazy potential that slip through the draft rankings here. That doesn't happen in Football Manager. Like it does maybe in other American sports games. I want to see if I can get like okay, we already have 1 defender. If I could get like just some other position that maybe I haven't picked up yet. Okay, if we're getting like too far down in the potential ability though, of course I just failed at that, so how I was not planning on spending this much time. Ricky Davis. I guess it's you, so that way we can just get the hell out. Congratulations, you got drafted. So, complete the draft. Hooray! We got the first overall pick somehow. Well, I know exactly how. Your trade with New York will receive the first pick. We parted with this much in general allocation money and a bunch of later first-round picks. And he's a Generation Adidas player as well, who we drafted, so we don't have to sign him. So if we look at our transfer... Oh, Club Vision, I want to see if they're pissed off about the New York trade. They're not. Wow. Okay. That's really fascinating. And that's New York Red Bulls, not New York Football Club. Because we're all just clubbing here now. So yeah, I'm gonna sign these players off camera. We're pretty much here now, but like Charlotte Academy Part 2 in the Dev Center. This is a little annoying to get to all the time. We do have players that are not showing up here yet, but this is the team. I'm excited about this team and I'm excited about this season, and I'm excited to see where it all goes wrong because, like I said, this is my idea for the tactic. I haven't tested it or anything yet. One of my goals is to make it a little bit less intense. And I did want to put it on standard tempo, but Tepper, that asshole's asking me to put it on wants high tempo soccer, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Like, I could lower the intensity by not having people counter or not counter press, but I'm pretty sure if we look at the club vision one more time, wants us to play high-tempo pressing soccer. So he wants me to run my team ragged. That just means I have 2 lines of teammates. So, cool stuff. That's Asher. Thanks for watching. Next episode, we are going to pick up with our first North American Champions League run. And then if we look at our home screen, that's not the only competition we have. North American Champions League, MLS Supporter Shield, U.S. Cup. I thought there was another competition that was here, but I guess it disappeared all of a sudden. Still, I want to win all 4 of these, even the U.S. Cup, which I'm supposed to finish 5th place. So that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching. New season. Hopium is very strong. I have a very good feeling that we're not going to run into the same issue we did last year where Columbus just was more battle tested, had more experience, and I didn't do anything like do a team talk specific before the first playoff game. So, and obviously some tactical errors contributed to that last loss, but now we're just going to out-talent the shit out of everybody, get a good tactic, and take all the trophies. Thanks for watching. This video is probably going to age very poorly by the end of the season and I crash and burn, but it's cool. Yeah, there's where my thumb is on the camera. Thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all being here for yet another season. We'll do this again soon. You all take care.